The piece I've got in that show is number 6 in my Slot Canyon series. And I started that series after a really cool trip to Antelope Canyon in northern Arizona. And you got to take a private tour. It's on the Navajo reservation. And they run you through this little path of, through the Slot Canyon with hundreds of other people in a little group of 10. And you just take a million pictures. And the little group leader kind of helps you with your camera and shows you where the great angles are. But unless you sign up for a really expensive photographic tour, it's pretty fast, and you get home and you probably have 300 shots in this canyon. And it is just so spectacular. It's very well photographed by photographers. You see them selling their art of pictures of it all the time. And I wanted to do something inspired by that place. So I started a little series of slot canyons, and this number 6 is a little different than the previous ones. But, that's just what I was inspired by going to Antelope Canyon. I'm always really inspired by the themes that have to do with the natural world. In my mind, art and art quilts kind of falls into 3 categories, like political art, maybe emotional art, and art based on the natural world. And for me, I'm not political at all, and I don't do much emotional stuff either. So what I really, really like is trying to interpret nature a little bit with my own slant. I don't think you can beat Mother Nature, so that's always really a challenge. So Primal Forces Earth was just right up my alley. For this series, the first couple that I did, I wanted to use fabrics from my stash that were prints, and it is more of a challenge to use prints. And for this piece that got into Primal Forces Earth, I had moved on to more solids and gradation kind of fabrics and a more solid palette, which does give even a more striking look than the early ones that I did with the print fabrics. But after I would draw my design, then I would maybe do a few little value studies of light and dark. And then I would go to my baskets of fabric and choose groups of fabrics within one color family. Like I did one of the Slot Canyon series all in brown. And so everything was browns, but I had a light group and a dark group and a medium group and a more reddish group. And, and so on this one too, I would have an orange group and then a more yellow orange group. And I would collect these groups of fabrics, like, maybe 6 to 10 fabrics, and call that the group for a certain section. And then I'd work on one section at a time, cutting out all the pieces and getting it all pinned up on the design wall. And sometimes I'd get it all pinned up there and really want to make some changes, something didn't look quite right. But basically I would, choose different colors for different sections of my piece. And I like lots of fabrics. I don't like just using 1 or 2 fabrics. I think the more fabrics you have, the more the colors don't have to exactly go together. You might have 2 fabrics that look horrible together with just 2, but when you put them with 10, they don't look so horrible together. So that's kind of how I choose colors and fabrics. I think a lot of times maybe that's why I like the whole natural world thing, because a lot of times I'm thinking about the science behind it, especially with the canyons where you see all the layers in the rock. And one of the areas I didn't really study as a scientist was geology, but it fascinates me now. And I was pretty much biology and chemistry back in those days. And I kind of wish that I'd taken some geology courses, because I think it's so interesting to see the layers of the rock and see the colors, especially when you've got the sunset colors or the early morning colors and they're really vivid. And, I'm just not a very patient person, so I'm not willing to go out there and be there at the right moment to get the exact picture. I'd just rather take a snapshot and design my work and then make it really bold, like it has the bright orange colors that you get just at that certain moment of sunset. So, but I do enjoy anything in the natural world, I think, because of that science background. I think art is just, it speaks to the artist and it speaks to the viewers in different ways. And I don't know that every artist's intent is always how the viewer looks at something. And so I think when you're an artist, I think you have to make something that is pleasing to you and fulfilling to you of what you think you're trying to portray. But that might not necessarily be what the people out there that look at it think. But that doesn't make your art bad. And so because everybody likes something different. And after being an artist and being in business for 40 years, I have seen that over and over and over again since the very beginning, that what I think is the ugliest pot in the shop, someone else picks it up and they just love it. And that's what I tell my assistant who's taken over the pottery business. I think just because these pots didn't turn out doesn't mean somebody else isn't going to just love them. So art is just in the eye of the beholder.